Instead of blaming the brown man for your failure to succeed in life, you should try pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. We're so grateful for those of you who've already subscribed. It really does help us grow the channel. Welcome if you're new here. This is a place where we tell immigrant stories. We talk about the adjustment challenges that so many face in between cultures as they adjust after leaving their birth country and are now living in a new country abroad. The immigrant experience in America, where we amplify and humanize the experiences of immigrants living in the US and around the world. Today, we're going to be sharing a video of a young lady sharing about how so many, and particularly right now in our country, there's just so much blame that's being put on immigrants, right? In my book, Decoding America, here's a picture of it. I talk a lot about the pain that I had to go through over the years decoding the US and trying to understand the hostilities that I would come up against from so many groups, and particularly people who look like me, who were native here, and they felt threatened by the fact that I was here. I entered legally from day one. But they think you're coming here despite the many contributions of so many immigrants to this country. They think you're coming here to take what they have. But on the flip side of that, you observe and you watch them over time and you see that, some of them don't realize that they're sitting on gold, that they were born with gold spoons in their mouths. And they wake up and they just want to live in comfort. Many of us as immigrants, we work one or two jobs. We do what we need to get by, and we change tomorrow because of the sacrifices and the delay of gratification that we practice all the time. That's how we're raised. Here's a video of a young lady sharing some folks online basically jealous of an immigrant because he's driving a certain type of car. And the many times I have felt like I couldn't share my true self, my authentic self, about my career advancement, where I was, where I work, the fact that I'm an author, other things that I've accomplished from putting in the hard work, sleepless nights, waking up early morning to write, sacrificing so much time to record podcast interviews and to do so many things, sacrificing not buying name brand this or name brand that so I can support others, or to save or to pay off my student loan debt, right? It took me years to pay that off. But yet, they find ways to blame immigrants for the hard work that we put in here. And so that's one of the reasons why this podcast was started in the first place, was to discuss the negative narrative that's out there in the public about immigrants. And the word immigrant, it just appeared to have become such a dirty word. But part of my goal is to put the respect back in the word immigrant. We work so hard, we bring our energies, we sacrifice, and we pour so much into this country. And it is as if we come here and just take. Who does the hard work? Look around you? Who's doing the landscaping, the roofing, the cleaning of houses? So many immigrants in the professional side, such as IT and so many places, and because our country needed it. I will also add that I understand that people who were born here for generations, yes, I understand this is your native country and you want to be able to find a job. There needs to be a way, perhaps, of balancing that. And it's not just the US. There's plenty of countries around the world who are struggling with what's the right balance, how much immigration to allow, what type of competition is it going to cause to the local citizens. Jamaica is facing the same thing. I had a close friend who's schooled me on the tourist industry that there are qualified people in Jamaica who are very capable of filling certain roles in the tourist industry, but yet they bring in foreigners and people from the outside to fill certain jobs and certain roles. And so the sentiments exist in Jamaica, and it exists in many countries around the world. And so it's a very complex issue, right? But for me, I can only speak from my experience living here in the US, and oftentimes feeling like I have to hide who I am and I can't show up as in my true success of all the hard work that I've put in. Anything I have today, I've worked my butt off. I've worked my fingers off to have, and I won't apologize for it. Nothing was handed to me, okay? But here this young lady is sharing about how the general sentiment it is to constantly or oftentimes just like it's like a reflex. If you see somebody who comes in from another place and they're driving a certain car or they're living in a certain house, the assumption is that they've taken something from you. And it's quite sad, literally. So, what has your experience been? Do you feel like you have to hide who you are authentically in certain spaces with certain people? Have you been able to show up as your authentic, successful immigrant self in this country or wherever you find yourself? Drop your thoughts in the comment. I'd love to hear it.
Spanking new Lexus SUV. How is that possible? Integrate into the same neighborhood that I worked my entire life to get into. I don't understand it. Oh yeah, here's this guy right here in his brand new Lexus. There he is, right there. That guy right there, that's a Haitian guy. Yeah, that's an immigrant.
Someone please explain to me, like I'm 5 years old, how it's the immigrant's fault that you wasted a 400-year head start. Racism requires jealousy and envy to sustain it. And yet in the next breath, these are the same people that will regale you with tales about how their peepaw worked 5 jobs to support his family. Maybe you should try working harder, being better, doing better. Maybe instead of blaming the brown man for your failure to succeed in life, you should try pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. There's currently thousands of farming positions available right now. Get out there and pick something. Quite literally, get out there and pick something. And for fuck's sake, stop playing the victim. Ooh, child. Okay. Good tea. Good tea.
She is so funny. But, you know, sometimes you just have to let other people speak for you. You just have to let other people express it for you. Literally, I feel like I'm living in the shadows a lot of times. I go around the amount of times I have been in certain groups socially and people ask, what do you do, et cetera, et cetera. And they're shocked or taken aback as to my accomplishments, etc. And then proceed to ostracize or to act weird with me afterwards. It gets so old, people, right? And then start comparing themselves to you, where you've gotten in your own personal life. And it's palpable a lot of times. You can feel the envy, you can feel the jealousy. And so I've just literally, quite literally, stopped sharing. I've become smart enough to figure out that there's certain types of people. If I walk in a room and there's a group of them there, I just leave, right? Because I know I'm not going to be welcomed. The minute they hear that I have a certain sounding to the way I express myself or that I'm from somewhere else, they assume that I've had it easier than they had. But so many people have made so many poor decisions with what they've been given. I won't apply any judgments here. Everybody has their own life circumstances. What I don't appreciate is not being able to show up fully as who I am, right? And so I am very selective these days in my life about who I go around, who I share my true self with, who I share my accomplishments with. And I only allow certain people in my space. I've just had too many experiences, like over and over and over, from the same types of people, and the jealousy and envy that comes. And so I don't even care to be in spaces with certain people anymore. Like many workplaces I've been, people will just rush to judgment and jealousy. And my thing has always been, if you want to know how I've done something that I've done, just ask, because I'm pretty open. I will share with you, right? I have mine. Go get yours instead of sitting around being jealous and hating and trying to sabotage my career and otherwise. It's just amazing to me. I'd love to hear what y'all think. What has been your experiences in the workplace as immigrant Americans? What sort of hostilities have you had to deal with, even socially outside of work, with people feeling that, you know, you've been given privilege or handed stuff that they are not getting and they should be getting, right? Despite the fact that you've worked. I've heard of Filipinos working 7 days of 12-hour shift, when the law, I think, only allows you to work certain number of hours per week and you're required to have days off. But because they don't know the local laws, they end up being manipulated by their managers and supervisors in coming in 7 days a week because they don't understand. They're new to the country, they're newcomers, and they don't understand how to use the labor laws to protect themselves. And because they're eager to work and they want to work and they have families to support, people take advantage of that. So it's an interesting space being an immigrant around the world. And we bring our energy, our excitement, and doing jobs that so many here will not do for pay, so many here will not do under conditions that so many will not work. And so I wonder what will happen if all of us leave tomorrow. Seriously, like what would happen if many of us were to just go back to our home countries and bring our talents and our education and everything that we bring here? Something to ponder, huh? So drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like, share with your circle of influence. We appreciate your support to get the word out. It really does help the algorithm. Remember to like, to comment, subscribe. We appreciate you for following this channel. Stay strong.